While it's certainly a large component, I have to imagine it isn't just about finances that you guys discuss with clients and prospective clients when they come into the office. There's also a mental game that goes into it. And we're going to talk about it here on this episode of Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. You can find them online, welcomehomefp.com. We made it real easy for you. The link's right there in the podcast description. Just click, it'll take you right there. Find out more about the team, their First Friday events, and just set up a time to speak with them. If you have questions about your retirement, you want one of those second opinions, or begin that retirement roadmap process, welcomehomefp.com is the website. My name is Chris Swan, and I'm pleased to be joined by Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Gentlemen, glad to be with you. How are you?
Thank you.
Great.
Good.
I'm glad to hear it. You know, here's the thing. We talk many times here. There's a difference between having a retirement account and a retirement plan, working on the distribution, no longer accumulating, but getting that money taken out. And when it comes to spending, my question for the listeners out there, do you consider yourself a tightwad? I don't like the phrase myself, but that is the title of a book that University of Michigan marketing professor Scott Rick wrote called Tightwads and Spendthrifts, Navigating the Money Minefield in Real Relationships. And Morningstar asked him for a way to show people that it is actually okay to spend that money.
We often think of budgeting as a way to restrict spending, but a tightwad can use budgeting to loosen up. They know that just left to their own devices, if they see something fun that they're considering, they're not going to be able to justify the purchase in the moment. They won't be able to convince themselves that they can afford it. But if they, in advance, budget some money, earmark some money as fun, optional money, it's there when these fun opportunities present themselves. And it's accessible, and they've planned for this already.
So certainly, you know, the paychecks are no longer coming in, and now you're spending down the balances. I could see where that would be daunting for, retirees, especially for the first couple months. How have you persuaded retirees with money that it is actually okay to loosen up and be able to enjoy their retirement?
So first of all, I think tightwad is a very old school phrase,
yes,
but I find it a little comical. So when it comes to, taking a look at spending in retirement, it's very uncomfortable for folks because everybody's worried about running out of money, right? So when it comes to that, if you've got a plan, if you can see it on paper, you've got X amount of dollars coming in, you got X amount of dollars coming out, here are your balances. It's a lot easier to spend and loosen up when you see it on paper. If you don't have a plan and just say, hey, I've got $500,000 in my 401k, I know I'm going to need to pull some out. When it comes R&D time, even if you don't need it, you're going to be required to pull some money out. So there's a lot of things that come into it, but there's also the other side of the coin where we've got to reel some people in because they're spending too much, whether it's keeping up with the Joneses or purchasing a new vehicle every year, buying that vacation house. There's a lot of things that come into play, and it all comes down to what you've done during your working career, right? So if you've got enough money saved up, we can show you in the retirement roadmap what things will look like. It makes some people loosen up.
We have a lot of clients. I kind of refer to them. We've got two types of clients. One that do not want to spend any money whatsoever, and they want to pass it on to their kids because that's what they want to do.
Sure.
The other type is, hey, I've earned this money. I want to use every last cent of it. And when I die, I don't want anything left because I had the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
The first one I always talk to, I said, I hate to tell you this, but because you have money in a retirement plan, you have to start taking money out. Now, what you do with it after you take it out is your business, but the government in any type of retirement plan is going to force you to start taking money out at a certain age based on whatever the current tax laws are at the time. The other ones that I talk to, when they say they want to spend every last dollar, I said, that's pretty easy for me to help figure out for you. All you have to do is tell me how much you have and the date of your death. And if you can tell me that, I can tell you basically how much you can spend every month.
Just that simple.
To this day, I've yet to have anybody tell me that date of death.
Ralph's hitting it right on the head. The question is, how do we persuade people? I don't ever persuade anybody to do anything. I mean, every retirement's unique. Everybody's goals and aspirations are unique. If you're the individual that wants to spend every single dime you have and, the kids can fend for themselves and I don't care what my legacy looks like, we can show you a plan that'll get you, hopefully where you want to be. To Ralph's point, nobody's able to tell us the day they're going to die, but we'll do the best we can to make sure you're using that money to the best of your ability. And I've got clients that I don't want to call them tightwads because, to Tim's point, that's kind of an archaic term. But
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur-esque. There we go. There we go. But they came up in a world where their main goal in retirement is to leave a legacy to their beneficiaries, whomever that may be. And that's really, really important to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also say there's clients out there that need to understand what their spending habits are. Have a client that would come in that, he has $250,000 to $300,000, and we sit down and talk, and he says, I'm never going to be able to retire. But there's two sides of the coin when it looks at cash flow. I mean, you got your income side, you got your expense side. So if you've done a good job with not having a lot of extra debt, paying your mortgage and stuff off if you're lucky enough to do that, then you don't have to have a large sum of money if you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Now, I got another client that came in with $2.5 million, and they want to say, I want to spend $20,000 a month just on travel.
Wow.
And they said, I know I've got plenty of money. I'm not worried about it. I said, let's just kind of take a look at it. And to Scott's point, we don't have to persuade him. We just kind of give you a different scenario. I said, take a look at $20,000 a month in a year. That's almost $250,000. Mm-hmm. So how long is your $2.5 million going to last? Probably 10 to 12 years. So you're 57 years old. What are you going to do then? So it's just explanation and illustrations, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the roadmap is we do, the expense worksheet that we work through with clientele to help generate that roadmap is detailed. Whenever I show it to my wife, she calls me the nosy document because we ask, where's the money going? What are you spending on? We don't care what you spend your money on. It's your money. You do with it as you please. But in order to create a real roadmap for you throughout your retirement years and understand, are we going to have the money to do this and live how we want to live? We've got to know those expenses.
So what you're telling me is that you don't lock the door when people come in and say, you have to spend this money, you have to go buy this car, you have to go on this vacation, and you're not going to get to leave until you do that. That doesn't happen?
Yeah, there's no locking of the doors. What we want to do is help guide them, not persuade them, and everybody's going to be different, mm-hmm. right? We've seen people who spend too much. We see people that don't want to spend for numerous reasons, and we see people that, they want to just take their IRA and transfer it over to their kids, and obviously you can't do that without some kind of tax burden. So there's no locking of doors. There's no persuading. It's, hey, here are your options. This is what we would recommend.
Being able to show and again, educate and let them see for themselves and go, oh, I actually can take a little here. I can renovate the kitchen. I can do whatever it is, if it is spend money on the grandkids. Here's the thing. If you want to leave the legacy, that is your prerogative. That is great. If you want to spend every dollar, that is your money. That is your prerogative as well. There's no wrong answer. Not having a plan is certainly going to make those difficult, whatever it is you're aspiring to do. And so that is why the retirement roadmap process is here. And again, we've talked about it before. I love the roadmap analogy because if you veer off course for whatever reason, whether it is self-imposed or the markets or taxes or what have you, figuring out how to get back on track, how to get to where you want to be. But you have to have that process. You have to have that plan to fall back on to recalculate and recalibrate. And it all starts with reaching out to the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners. Made it real easy. WelcomeHomeFP.com. If you click the link in the podcast description, it's going to take you right there. Find out more about Ralph, Tim, and Scott. Find out more about the First Friday events, even how to attend one of those and set up a time to speak with them. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. And, we want to thank you. We want to, hopefully you feel a little bit more enlightened coming out of this episode as you did when you began, a little bit more confident about your retirement prospects. The next step, of course, is reaching out and developing that roadmap. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Guys, appreciate you. As always, appreciate the time. As we wrap up here, I want to leave you with the final word.
Thank you, Chris. So yeah, if you're sitting at home listening to this and you've got some worries about spending or otherwise you're afraid that you might run out of money because you have too much spending, we love the opportunity to have you in the office. Take a look at what you're currently doing and kind of put some things at ease for you because you want to retire with confidence. So once again, we want to thank everybody for listening. Have a great day.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any residents of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.